Angus Gill is a Golden Guitar winner as well as a nominee many times. Over 3 this year alone. He releases music as a solo artist and also collaborates with others. In 2020, he released the album 3-Minute Movies with the band Seasons of Change, who work with Paul Kelly. Now there's a new single for Angus and Seasons of Change called Departure and Arrival, and Angus is about to tour extensively around Australia. So I'm going to ask him about pretty much all of that. Hi, Angus.
Hey Sophie, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yes, a lot to say in the intro because you do a lot of different things. I'm going to try to cover quite a few of them. But I'm going to start by asking you, how did you come to work with Seasons of Change the first time around?
Well, I had a whole bunch of songs that I'd written, and they didn't fit my usual kind of traditional shtick.
Mhm.
And I'd kind of been throwing them into my shows just randomly and seeing how the audience reacted to them. And people would come up and go, "Oh, have you got that, that particular song on a CD or whatever?" And I'd go, "No, no, I don't." And then I kind of thought, "Oh, maybe there's, an opportunity for me to do them on a project, but who would I use? What players would I bring in?" And then I heard PK's Life is Fine album, and I thought, you know what? I really, really love that band's sound. Wouldn't it be cool if I could try and get all of those guys to play on a project of mine? And luckily, I'd met them about a year before through Steve Earle. So I went to catch up with Steve, and he was touring with Paul on the Life is Fine tour that they did, and so I got introduced to all of the guys in the band, and so I reached out to, I think it was Dan Kelly first, and then he kind of put me in touch with a few of the other guys in the band, and that's how, and they all agreed to be on it, thankfully, and so yeah, that's how that first project came about, and I nicknamed them Seasons of Change because I was looking for something to call this side project, because it wasn't just a typical kind of Angus Gill project, so that's why I wanted to find a name for them.
Yeah, right. Interesting that you mentioned the songs, because the songs on that album are quite a bit darker and tougher
Mm.
lyrically and musically in a lot of ways to other songs you've recorded. So that it suggests to me that, well, I know you're a prolific songwriter, but you obviously have like little pockets of songs that you keep for certain things.
Oh, totally. I'm always trying to find homes for my songs, and thankfully every day I kind of get closer to, because I'll have things and I'll go, "Oh, that's a really great song. It'd be awesome if this particular artist cut that, or it'd be great if I had a project that would, I could include it in." So, yeah, look, I'm always trying to find homes for my songs because I write all the time. Sometimes, with other professional songwriters, sometimes with other artists, for other artists,
Mhm.
and then I'm doing plenty of writing on my own, which I'm really enjoying too. But I think that's kind of, dependent on time. I've got to kind of set some time aside for it, and I've also got to have an idea that I'm kind of like, yeah, this is a song that I need to work on myself, and sometimes I can take weeks to find the right idea. And once I've got it, it kind of all starts to unravel for me.
Mhm. Do you have like little folders on your desktop for like different types of songs? As in, like, think I might record these songs with Seasons of Change, or think I might do this on my own, or do you just tend to put them all in together? And when you have collaborators like Seasons of Change, then you extract the songs you think will work.
Well, my desktop is a pigsty right now. I'm just looking at it now. You actually can't. There's so many icons on there that they're all starting to overlap on top of each other. They're
That's
just
terrible, Angus.
it's shocking. But this computer, there's files everywhere, and then I get the shits when I can't find them. But no wonder, because I try and search for them and I get. So anyway, that's just my life. That's my problems to deal with.
So when you're writing a song, do you tend to handwrite lyrics? Like if you get it, well, actually, I'll rephrase that. Do you tend to get the lyrical idea first or the musical
Yeah,
idea?
totally. So I keep a lot of things on either my notes app, and that is relatively organized, as is my Dropbox. Just everything else is just clutter everywhere. But I also have an application that I use where I keep all of my songs within that application. It's really handy. It's called Master Writer. And I just love it because everything's all in that one spot. You can store your work tapes in there. You can store your lyrics. It's got all built-in dictionaries and rhyming dictionaries and everything that you need, all in there. So yeah, so I kind of just earmark things and go, oh yeah, that'd be a good song for a certain artist. If it's a bluegrass song, I wrote a bluegrass song today, which I've got an artist in mind for, and so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm always going, well, if I'm not going to do something with that, who would it suit, and how do I get it to them, and blah blah blah.
Well, you are well connected. Just the fact that, you met Seasons of Change band members through Steve Earle. People may think that you're actually 55 or 60 years of age. You're not. You've just met a lot of people at a young age.
I'm an old soul. Let's put it that way.
Speaking of Seasons of Change, because I digressed from that, but given how busy you are, and they've probably got some things to do as well, was it tricky to schedule some recording time?
Oh, super hard. I think we started talking in early October and we didn't get into the studio until almost Christmas. So finding 2 days where we recorded the new album, which is coming out later on in the year, over 2 days. So we did 5 songs a day. So it was pretty full on. But yeah, it was a great experience. I love working with those guys, and I also love the rawness and the real kind of full band vibe that you get, because we didn't track to a click track either, and it's a pretty common thing with tracking the country stuff, is that it's all done to a grid and it's all pretty slick and tight and all of that. Whereas this project, those guys are kind of used to, when they track with PK, because they play so many gigs together, they've already got that tightness, but they can also be deliberately loose if they choose to. They've got that real synergy as a band, so they're just used to playing together and not having clicks. So that was really great as well. I really enjoyed that.
Did you produce the album? Because you do a lot of producing too.
Yeah, I did produce the album.
Well, that was a short answer, Angus. I was hoping you'd elaborate. I was hoping you'd say, yeah, like I was planning it for 3 months and, all that kind of stuff.
I'm trying. I'm just pacing myself.
No, that was rude of me to say. No. So the new song "Departure and Arrival" was inspired by Alain de Botton's book "The Art of Travel," which you were rereading, I believe, when you were inspired. I'm intrigued by the fact that you were rereading it. It's quite hard to say that. Do you often reread favorite books?
Yeah, I kind of do, and there was a reason for that, because I actually studied that book, I think, for my Year 12 advanced English course in school, and there was some reason, I don't know why I particularly thought, oh, I should go back and reread that, but I did, and I'm glad I did, because I'd started the idea that soon become Departure and Arrival. I think the working title was something like Somewhere Between Here and Now, or Somewhere Between Here and Where I Want to Be, or I can't remember what it actually was, but I wasn't really sold on it, but I'd formulated an idea from that. But when I was reading The Art of Travel, I had seen, there's just something, I don't know whether I saw the words departure and arrival, or whether I just got the inspiration, because it's a book about travel, and I thought, oh, somewhere between departure and arrival. Oh yeah, there we go.
That's handy. Any other books inspired songs?
Oh, all the time. I think I've become a lot more of a vivacious reader. Is that the right word?
Voracious reader.
Voracious reader. Sorry.
I think you were crossing vivacious and voracious. That's fine. It's a portmanteau.
It's been a long day, a very long day actually. But yeah, so I'll rephrase that. I've been a very avid reader over the last couple of years, and so I get ideas and titles and phrases and things all the time, and I often read on the iPad, so I can kind of highlight the things, and it'll store them in a separate section, so I can go back and go, oh, it's an interesting phrase, and so sometimes I can these phrases or or versions of them can kind of find their way into songs of mine.
Yeah, right. Now, the collaboration with Seasons of Change is actually one of many collaborations you've had over the past few years. You mentioned that you've been enjoying writing songs by yourself, but do you think collaboration is your default setting?
Well, actually, it's interesting. Even though I collaborated with Seasons of Change on this project, it's actually there's no duets on this album. It's all me, and you know, six of the 9 songs are all mine.
Okay.
100%ers, and 3 of them were written with Billy Miller out of the Ferrets. So I wrote the lyrics and he wrote the music, and so it was really great to work that way. So there's a real strong identity of me on this new album, even though it's a it's a kind of a collaboration in terms of sound. So yeah, but I love working with all different kinds of people. It's such a joy, and it's really great to be able to hear other artists, you know, some of whom I admire, or I've grown up loving their music. Um, Hearing them sing songs or lyrics that I've written, it's kind of like wow, you know. There's like when Steve Earle sung with me on the new old me. Um, when that part come through, I was just like, man, that is so cool, you know. And so I really love that. I think I'm, and same when Melinda Schneider sung on Tinsel and the Tangle. I didn't write that song with her, and I was just chuffed that she loved the song, and when her part come through, I was like, oh, that's really cool, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoy collaboration because of that kind of surprise, you know, when the parts come through, and the fact that if an artist agrees to be on something, it's like, well, you know, they really enjoy or, you know, love the song. So
Mm.
yeah, that is really cool, and I just love, you know, I'm obviously producing a lot of artists that I love what they do, and so it's a perfect kind of marriage in terms of that, and yeah, so I do enjoy doing collaborations, but it's good to kind of do things on your own as well.
Yeah, I mentioned in the intro that you had 3 Golden Guitar nominations this year. They were for you as an artist. You had a 4th as a producer for TC
I
Cassidy's
had
album.
5 this
Oh,
year.
5. Oh my God, I've really mucked up.
4 and 1 with as a producer with
How did
TC.
I miss the 4th one? Ah, it's just too
Yeah.
hard to keep track. So you've got so many, Angus. There you go. But
I
it must have
didn't win
been.
any this year.
Sorry,
I had to do drive of shame. The
sorry,
awards.
you just broke up there a little. What did you say?
I said, but I didn't win any this year. I had to do the drive of shame after the award.
I think that's like, yeah, it just seems to be the way it goes. But I think the nominations are very much an acknowledgement of work because it's a big field of
Oh,
artists that
and
they're
it is what it is. There's so many different factors that go into it too. So you know, you've just got to you win some, you lose some. You know.
But look, I think for TC, because that was her first album in many years, that must have been such a thrill for her to be nominated.
Oh, she was absolutely ecstatic. You know,
Yeah.
she's coming into the studio tomorrow. So we've got a new song to cook up.
So I'm just laughing because it's like the cogs of your wheels and whatever are turning all the time.
Mm.
Now you released the Scrapbook as a solo project in 2021, and you then released the song "Listen to the Country," written and recorded with Kevin Bennett, "Dust" with Pinksy Jenkins, "Waiting for the Boss" with Anne Brooksbank, "The Easy Way," and there's probably more I've lost track of. None of these were on the Scrapbook. So I just you obviously just you said you write all the time, but you obviously write and record in between projects. You're not concerned about whether, you know, oh, I have to put this on an album. It actually seems like if these song projects come up, you're just going to do them.
Yeah, well, you know, I think because the world is so kind of single based now,
Right.
uh, you know, a lot of those tracks that I put out last year, they're not winding up on a particular album because they kind of they're all singular entities of themselves. When I do an album project and I go in to record, you know, all of the tracks over a period of a couple of days, I'm looking at it from a more helicopter view of what are the common threads between the songs. So I'm really crafting it in terms of a full album, with the songs that all kind of belong together, and there's kind of similar themes and symbols and motifs and things kind of developing too. So, but all of those songs, I've got the resources to kind of write a song, and I go, oh, let's put that one out,
Yeah,
So
right.
it's kind of become such a normal part of our world. But you never know, they might I might find friends for them, and they can end up on a project of their own,
Yeah, right. And the other thing that's noticeable, I think, is that you shift around styles. They're all within country music, but it's not like you're creating the same musical style in a song over and over again. Is
Right.
that because you're curious to work with different styles, or restless, or both?
Mm. Well, I think it's a bit of both, but a lot of people go, "Oh, yeah, so you've tried this and you've tried that." It's like, no, I haven't tried. I've
I
did it,
did.
and
Yeah.
they were important stepping stones in terms of my career. But I think um, the main reason why I've done it is I don't believe in trying to recreate the same project over and over and over again, because it just leads to you getting a bit stale, you know
Right.
and I love bluegrass music. I wrote a bluegrass song today, but I was really proud of the scrapbook, and kind of and what that achieved for me was quite unexpected, really.
Because you did win a gold guitar.
Yeah, I did, but we had, I think, three number ones from that album. It and went to number one on the ARIA charts, and it really connected with a lot of people, which I was extremely grateful for. And I didn't expect it to kind of have the success that it did, but I don't want to I didn't want to kind of go and try and write a follow-up album straight after putting that one out, because I just think that I had written several bluegrass songs over the last year or so, but I just didn't it just wasn't kind of worth trying to recreate that project, when I was really proud of that album as a whole. But I
Mm.
would love to do another bluegrass album, somewhere further down the track, but not right now, And I
Yeah.
think it's always about keeping it fresh, and I think thankfully my audience is becoming accepting of me going, okay, well, I really believe you've got to have a slightly different focus for each project that you do. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it? If you're just trying to regurgitate, it's like reconstituted apple juice. If you're just trying to do the same thing over again. So that's my take on it, and it's also the fact that I'm an artist. A lot of artists that I look up to, including people like Steve Earle and Paul Kelly and Bob Dylan and Joni Mitchell and all of that. One of the things that I really love about their work is that you can dive into an album, and then you listen to the album after that, and they're not trying to kind of redo the same thing. They're always trying to explore new territory, and I really admire that. Even Keith Urban, he's been great with that. You've really seen, and sometimes people mightn't always like the direction that you're heading in. They might prefer your old stuff, and that's fine. But they can always go back to their old stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, partly I've asked that question because in looking at your body of work, and it is extensive, and as I said,
Mm.
you're not 55 or 60,
Yeah.
you are still a young man. I'm curious about what the bigger project is, because it's not, and I think the curiosity and the relentlessness, or restlessness, sorry, is part of it, but you're relentlessly creative. That's what I was trying to
Mm.
say. As you're saying, you're right constantly, you're recording, you're releasing. I do get the sense that it's because you're interested in documenting as much of life as you can. There's certainly a lot of different experiences of life in your songs, and also not trying but doing a lot of different things, and that's your motivation, or one of them.
Yeah, that's totally it. It's about you live, you learn, you meet people, you have all of these ideas, and it's as I said, it comes to being an artist and a creative person. You just can't shut it out. I go to bed at night, and I can't shut it out, you know. So I don't make a new album because I feel I have to make a new album. I,
Mhm.
I do it because there's no other option. You know, you kind of just go, oh, you know, I've got all these songs. I need to do that, and I do also get a lot of feedback from people that I really trust, that I know are going to tell me um, the truth and nothing but that, and that's a big important part of my process and my quality control. So no, I really there's a couple of people. I've always believed in having my own circle of people that I can send things to, and there's a couple of people that will tell me that you know, if something's resonating with them, or if it's not, and why. And that's a really helpful part in my creative process as well. Um, and yeah, I really do think that you need that, even though sometimes it's not easy to hear the bad stuff. But when if I have a feeling, if the few people in my circle all agree on something, I have a fairly good idea that I've got something strong there, you know, because you know the other thing is I always find release day can be quite anticlimactic, because you've worked so much up to create something, and then you put it out and it's like, oh, okay, it's out now. You know, like you've done all of this work in the weeks leading up, and now it's out. It's like, oh, okay, so what now? You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really you sometimes need to be able to find, because you know people will tell you, oh, you know, you put something out and people go, oh, that's great, oh, fantastic, you know, but sometimes I think you really can get those pat on the backs, and you can really accept that pat on the back when it comes from someone that that know that's in the industry, that's a songwriter themselves, that you respect, and if they think it's a great song, you really know that you've got a great product, regardless of whether it wins awards or
Mhm.
or charts well or something. You know, I think you've just got to always you, you Bruce Springsteen says you need to know that you're the baddest ass in town, but you suck at the same time. And I think it's really good, because you know, it keeps your ego in check. If one thing overtakes the other, that's when everything starts to go downhill, I believe. So you know, you need to have that yin and yang. You've got to keep yourself honest and down to earth.
Yeah, it is a hard balance to strike, but you are doing it because you are producing all this great music. But I'm just curious, you said, you know, you write songs because, you know, you can't shut off that creativity. Have you ever wished you could shut it off?
No, no, no. Well, only when I can't sleep.
Right.
You know?
That's right. Yeah. You're like, they're going, oh, I'll just get the like voice
Apart
memo,
from that,
whatever.
it's I just yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh my god, I really got to get up and write this down, you know. But
Yeah.
anyway, it is what it is. There's worse problem. There's worse problems that I could have, including lack of sleep.
Yeah. And lack of ideas, which
Yeah,
does happen to some people,
yeah, yeah.
not to you. Now you're about to take off around Australia on a 23 date tour. For some of these shows, you'll be with two Kevins, Welsh and Bennett. How did that lineup come about?
Well, obviously KB and I have been working, you know, with Listen to the Country, but we're also both friends with Kevin Welsh, and I saw
Uh-huh.
that KB and KW were doing a show together. I think late last year, and a couple of venues had approached me to do kind of a, well, you know, had went through had approached their people, and, you know, spoke to my people. And so I said to Kevin, I said it'd be good to do a, you know, riders in the round, a couple of dates with you on this. You know, do you think we could possibly get KW on it too? And so then I sent him I gave him a call or sent him a text, and then KB spoke to him too, and so we kind of locked that all in, and I'm really looking forward to doing those shows. It's going to be some great songs, some great stories, and a few laughs along the way, and then you know, I'm doing the other however many shows that we're doing within those 23 dates. You know, Pixie Jenkins is coming out on the road with me, and that show is a real lot of fun to do. We had a sold out show in Tamworth this year, and that was just an absolute blast and a real thrill. And there's plenty of laughs in that show, and some poignant moments, some high energy moments, and some great storytelling too. So yeah, I really can't wait to hit the road again.
And for those people who are interested in seeing you with the two Kevins, I think that's only 4 shows out of your 23, so people need to check the details.
That's it. People keep going, oh, when are you coming to, Geraldton, or it's like, that's it. That is it.
That's right. Well, because it is a big country to traverse when you're putting on a show, and you've got to maintain your energy levels. But I suppose, yes, some people will be saying, why aren't you coming to visit us? How do you pick your locations for a tour like this?
Oh, look, there's a number of factors, like, people are always kind of saying, oh, can you come here? Can you come there? And then we're kind of looking at which places are popular on the current kind of touring circuit, and also the viability too. It's obviously harder to organise a tour over in Perth because you've got production involved and all of that, and you can't kind of, you've really got to fly over there, and then so there's all of these kind of factors that make it more costly if you're touring to places like that. But if you can get around by car, and I really don't love flying, even though I've got a song called Departure and Arrival. I'm not a big fan of flying, and musicians are getting gear lost left, right and centre. So and when I'm travelling with several different instruments and bits of gear, I'd prefer to be able to know where it is. And I kind of feel a bit nude without my car, so I like to know where it is,
Well, look, that's a viable reason.
That's why we're not playing Perth anytime soon. We might in the future, but that's the other thing we like. I like to, Caswell actually says, keep it small and own it all, and I like that theory, particularly in terms of touring, because touring's tough. It's very rewarding, but being one of few people that are touring original live music in this day and age. There's not many of us. Really, when you look at the grand scheme of things, there's a hell of a lot more tribute shows and other things going around than there is original acts. So we are kind of treading the boards in a way, but it's worth it when the shows finally come together and you step out there on the night. It makes all of the hard work really worth it.
Yeah, and gee, as an audience member, it is so great seeing original live music, particularly by Australian artists, for me at least. But now I'm going to change the subject completely, because on social media, you revealed recently that you have a digital voice recorder a la Kel Knight from Kath and Kim, and you did come up with the mango and guava sausage. I'm wondering if there are any other sausages that you've come up with in the meantime.
Oh, no, there wasn't. That was the first one that come to mind, but I could think of a million different revolting combinations.
I was working, you went with fruit for the sausage.
Oh, well, because when you mix meat and fruit, it's always a disgusting outcome. So, it's I produced a comedy. I wrote and produced a comedy album project a couple of years ago with my good friend Bev Killick, and we had a whole bunch of other comedians, Ack Marlin, Husey, and Jeff Green, and the list goes on and on. And we had this segment. I didn't make the album, but it was just Bev and I doing these, I think we called it weird sandwich combinations, and we're just reading out, a list of the most horrendous sandwich combinations on the mic. So I've got a soft spot for, things that are quite incongruous.
Right.
What was it? Mango and
guava.
Mango and guava. Sausage. Yeah, that's pretty strange.
Look, it's when one has the digital voice recorder, one has to channel Kel Knight. That is the only option.
You really do.
And if people want to see you channeling Kel Knight onto Angus Gill, they can go to your website and find out where you are playing. In the meantime, there is the song Departure and Arrival. There's an album coming later this year. It's been great to talk to you. Thanks for your time. We had a pause. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I was just breaking up.
Oh, I did the round up. I said, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was always a blast chatting to you. So